Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Lee Obsidian. This is my first book in a five-part book series called Obake: What Lies Beyond. It's about a young ninja struggling to uncover the truth behind the death of his parents while a threat from another realm looms on the horizon. Pick it up. It's available now. Second book coming soon. And as far as genre, it's YA crossover. My favorite part is I like to get to the point where I can get to the action scenes and all that stuff. So, you got to obviously cultivate a good world building foundation before you can even get there. But the action scenes don't really mean anything if the core conflict between the characters that are engaging in combat, it doesn't mean anything. You want to actually make sure there's like some idealistic reason or some deep level. Maybe there's revenge. Maybe this person has xenophobia and they're trying to preemptively strike some other village because they believe that that village is going to come for them someday and they've been indoctrinated to believe these things. It's kind of like I don't know, like what's a maybe like the dynamic between Daredevil and Punisher. I don't know if you watched that show, but Punisher had this like, I want to kill the enemies because you got to put them down. And Daredevil's like, I want to stop the enemies too, but we have to take them through the legal proceedings. So they kind of have the same goal, but different approaches. So that landed them in conflict. So that's kind of like what I think is super interesting about the writing process is figuring out what are the reasons that these characters are in conflict. And so that when you get to the action, it actually means something and it like actually people care. People aren't like, oh, they're fighting. Who cares? So I would say that's what I really like about writing. So I get my ideas from a lot of places. I would say most, maybe it's a generational thing, but probably a lot of Gen X and baby boomers probably got a lot of their ideas from other novels. I get some of my ideas from there, but most of the stuff I came up on was video games, anime, manga, comic books. So I derive most of my influence, I guess, from those sources like Dragon Ball Z and Mortal Kombat and all that. A little bit from Lord of the Rings and some other novels. I do a lot of reading also of traditional novels, but most of the stuff that really sparked my imagination was through those other forms of media that I mentioned. So it's kind of like I look at it like a tunnel where you got all these different doors, and as you encounter each door, something allows you to unlock it. Like so, I encounter one door in Dragon Ball Z, like opens my imagination, this tunnel of my imagination. I unlock that door, and now I'm in this new area of the tunnel where all of these ideas start flowing in. Now I go to the next door, I unlock that. Mortal Kombat, I find out about that. Now that's unlocking crazy things in my imagination. I go to the next door, next door. So I get my ideas from a lot of places, but those are the main sources. I would say is mostly a lot of the output from Japan. It's like super influential on me. Yeah, so that's definitely where I get most of my ideas. Like, could I have come up with a lot of stuff of my own imagination 100%? Yeah, we all have an imagination to draw from, but me being exposed to those things just like helped expand it and broaden it and strengthen it. So I would say that's where I get most of my ideas. Pretty much perseverance in Tolkien because Frodo, man, he was going through it. He had to, and he's just a little hobbit in this giant world of all this, you know, like Bilbo too. I mean, all this stuff was being thrown at him, and you got Smeagol trying to get the ring back. You got all this stuff coming out, and the giant spider, sticks them and poisons them, and you got the orcs, and so yeah, perseverance for sure. Because no matter what, him and Sam just kept pushing, and finally got that ring into Mount Doom, and saved everything. And for what I want people to take away from mine, at least for this first book, because it's going to be a five-part book series, is the main character kind of starts out because he's like 17, so he has an idealistic mentality of like, oh, I'm gonna go out into the world and this is how my life trajectory is gonna go. As we all know, like once you start getting into like your late 20s, 30s, it hits you that life is not gonna go the way you think. Maybe you'll land where you wanted to be, all in all, but the curve, but yeah, like who knows? You might not even. But the curveballs you get hit with along the way can lead you down a road where you could become jaded and cynical and kind of down on life. And I'm kind of taking my character through that journey where he's like idealistic, like I'm gonna be like this heroic guy, and then he just gets hit and hit and hit, and it just takes him down this path of becoming more darker and darker. But the key is, will he stay there in that dark mentality, or will he find his way through the trenches of that to come back out on the other side with a renewed vision of life, but not letting the trauma of what he's gone through make him just stay a curmudgeon and just be some oh, I hate life, I hate the world. But it's just interesting to me to kind of do a more realistic approach to characters, like take him through the gauntlet and see like where he ends up on the other side of that versus just having him be, woo, life is so great and everything happens. I always make the right decision as a hero. I never make any bad choices. No, I want him to do something that a villain might do here and there, or do something that could be perceived as evil. I just think that's the morally complex writing of characters is more interesting that way, especially from the villain's angle too. Maybe the villain does some heroic things sometimes. Maybe he does something nice here and there. Doesn't mean he has to be mustache twirling and always doing the bad thing and he never makes. Because, we all know we meet people. Nobody is perfect. I've done some stuff I shouldn't have done. I'm sure you have. Everybody, like the core foundation, though, you might be a good person deep down, and their core foundation, they might be evil, but you're going to kind of dabble in decisions that, are on both ends of the spectrum. So, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So Dragon Ball Z would be to keep conquering your limits because Goku, he has to keep pushing through. Like every time he meets some villain, they're stronger than him, they kick his ass, and then he has to train, get stronger, he beats them. Then here comes another guy who's stronger. It's like a metaphor for life because every time I conquer something in life, something else comes down and I have to go, oh crap, here's another thing I have to overcome, I have to surmount. And life is always like that. Goku keeps finding new forms. He's base form, Kaioken, Super Saiyan 2, 3, and he just keeps going because it's a metaphor for the conquering of all the different obstacles in life. And then Mortal Kombat, I don't even actually know like what message other than it's okay to kind of push the envelope because the creators were putting a lot of gore and like it was like surprising for the times because the digitized actors looked real. So they were going in and doing like fatalities on characters, and they got all this pushback from censorship boards. The ESRB was created because of them. They had a bunch of parents and teachers coming for their heads, but that didn't stop them from pushing the envelope. And look, they're still here to this day, still a huge franchise. And there's a lot of that kind of stuff in my material. So I feel like if I ever get popular, I'm probably going to get a lot of that kind of pushback. So it's a matter of just continuing to have belief in your vision and keep pushing, even though it might rub some people the wrong way. So that's kind of like what I got from Mortal Kombat, at least. But yeah, I've had people come up to me like, 'cause when I'm selling books at like events and things like that, I've had people tell me, "Oh, you don't really want to mention your influences too much. And if you do mention your influence, you should talk about how in which yours makes theirs pale in comparison to yours." And I don't agree with that mentality. I feel like that's like a lot of ego, hubris. I'm lucky if I get mentioned in the name of these creators that have come before me someday. If someday, 10 years from now, when people are bringing up Dragon Ball Z, they're also going, oh yeah, Anobake, that would be a dream come true. Because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants here. I'm not anyone to sit here and pretend like my stuff is so much better. And like, if you like Dragon Ball Z, wait till you see my thing because Dragon Ball Z is nothing compared to mine. Like, I don't agree with that mentality. I think that you got to respect those that have paved the way for you and understand that you wouldn't probably have as much to work with without that. Like, yeah, I have imagination, but I wouldn't without Dragon Ball Z, Mortal Kombat, all these things, right? I wouldn't have my imagination wouldn't have grown to the level it did to allow me to do what I'm doing. So even just from a business sense, yeah, even just from a business sense, you're gonna piss off all those the fans of that product, and they're gonna go, I don't want to absorb yours when you're talking like that, and especially if your product is supposed to be in the same vein as those products that you're claiming are not as good as yours. Nobody's gonna want to hear that. They're gonna go, what the? I know that we live in a world of finite resources and stuff, but I don't think that people should have a scarcity mindset about things. Whereas they go, if he makes it, I can't make it. I don't really like that crab in a bucket mentality. It's like if he makes it, who's to say you can't? That doesn't mean you can't. Just because they were successful doesn't mean you have to feel as if now your chances are shot. It's just not really how that works. So my advice, I see oftentimes that a lot of authors, they're so wrapped up in creating their world and so wrapped up in the worlds that other people have created through books or whatever other medium that they don't actually take care of themselves and they don't put effort into their health. They don't put effort into actually working out and things. I know that this sounds like almost like how does this correlate? But if you don't take care of yourself physically, how are you going to be here long enough to ensure that you can keep putting out these cool stories? Get in the gym, work out, take care of yourself, take care of your mental health, and go on adventures. Go out there and see the world. Go scuba diving, go hiking, go take a trip to some other foreign land. If your story has characters from foreign lands, when you land in a foreign land, you can see what that experience is like for yourself, and it helps you to better write that experience. If you're writing about characters that are going deep sea diving and they gotta like infiltrate some Atlantis city and they gotta blah blah blah, go scuba diving, see what it feels like to be underwater. You know what I mean? Like if you're writing about characters that are buff and strong and they have to work out and train, go work out, go train. It helps you to even like correlate that in your own life to your character. You know what that's like. It's easier to write that. And just the baseline of just staying healthy, in my opinion. I know it probably seems like what this guy's talking about working out and we're talking about being a writer, but I just see a lot of writers, they huddle away in like a dark cave somewhere in their house and they never experience life. It's like, it's really hard though. I get it because writing, man, it takes a lot of time. You got to edit this and that. Your brain goes numb. So it's hard to like balance all that. You got family life, you got writing, but try to squeeze it in if you can, because it's just going to make your writing that much better. It's going to make you a happier person and you'll be here longer to keep putting out cool stories. So I think it's a win-win,